But look, I don't know where else to put it.
It works, man. It is what it is.
I'm wearing curved
Before,
lab.
that shit was just pushing against
For real?
the atoms out.
Hold on. Damn. Pause. Hold on.
And now we're gonna be fucking Mason Cam and have to pause everything. This shit sucks.
Nah. Damn, hold on. Yo, this sweater not pause thick.
Exactly.
Hold on. Look at that. That's lit.
Now you're gonna be pausing everything. Good luck.
I'm gonna be pausing everything.
We cannot turn this into a Mason Cam show.
Nah, we not doing that. But okay,
We got better stuff to talk about, to be honest.
we do.
Yeah, man. Like, the things that we finna talk about is more than just sports.
What you mean? What we gonna talk about?
Like, growing up in Spanish Harlem.
Yo,
Growing up in Harlem.
people don't understand how wild and crazy that was, bro.
Yeah, man. There's been so much change. That's the thing. It's like, to even feel like we could talk about the childhood already feels like some nostalgic thing that doesn't exist. Like, people can't tie to it because all they know is the new Harlem, the new Spanish Harlem, the gentrification. Spaha is what they call it now.
Nah, they don't call it Spaha, bro. Not allow that bull BS to go through. It's not Spaha. It's East Harlem.
Yeah,
Spanish
and look,
Harlem.
East Harlem. This is the whole thing.
Que tu quieres, mujer? She says she blow la la.
So, man,
I'm gonna let you kick it off. Everybody always see me on my channel. I'm rolling.
you funny.
Go ahead.
Like, one, I don't know what I sound like, so I don't know if I'm too loud, too low, or what's going on.
You Gucci.
But all love. Nah, I would say, shoot, to kick it off, bro, growing up in Spanish Harlem was like a blessing and a curse.
Why you said that?
Especially for me personally. Because, one, if you're from Harlem and you got any kind of color in your skin, you automatically black. Like, there's no question there.
That's cap.
This is depending on who you talking to, especially growing up in Spanish Harlem. And like in Taínos, there was the Ricans versus the blacks when I first moved there. Like that was hilarious to me because it's like, yo.
By the way, this man Dominican.
There's more than just Puerto Ricans. How is Ricans versus blacks? Like maybe Spanish versus black? I don't know what the hell it is. But also, did you know that black is also Spanish? Like if you're Dominican, you're black, Spanish, and white. Like Spain Spanish, not even like whatever Dominican is, because that's just an island that was conquered. So anyway, that was one of the most difficult things growing up in Spanish Harlem was having to choose sides.
I ain't choose no sides, bro.
I ain't choose sides either. That's not the point. It was about having to choose sides. It was about, I promise you, I had cats come up to me, it was almost like a Cali situation, like in LA, which I love and respect because the thugs out there are a little different. They'll like ask you straight up, like, do you bang? Like, are you part of a set? Like, if you don't do gang stuff, like, I'm not gonna mess with you because there's no respect in that for me. Spanish Harlem, very similar situation, except it wasn't, oh, are you a blood or a Crip or you bang or whatever. It was more, again, Spanish or black or Rican or black. And what made that worse was the minute that there was a realization that there's more to Spanish people than just Puerto Ricans is when it turned into this hate versus Mexicans. No lie, like, I think everybody in Spanish, the old Spanish Harlem, hated Mexicans. Cause
Bro, that's cap. Maybe in Taino Towers, it wasn't like that.
Taínos, Wagner, Jeff, anywhere
bro,
from
I'm from
125th down to
1775.
112th.
Okay,
It was,
okay. I don't know.
remember
That's cap, bro, because I was at Wagner, Jefferson.
and you were there chilling with Mexicans.
Nah, it was just
That's my fucking
no, but what I'm saying, but what I'm
Mexicans
saying.
are seen as different, is all I'm saying.
Okay.
That, and then at least especially around Taínos, around Wagner, Jeff, like the whole like Spanish Harlem projects, it was this understanding and a sad stereotype for Mexicans because motherfuckers is always drunk. Like, you out there drunk at 3 o'clock when we getting out of school, to the point where now my stories were all horror stories I was hearing. We got, people I won't name that come back with, oh, we jumped this person and took their stuff, which is how I got my first pair of rollerblades. But that's not the point. Like, the thing was, crazy. This is how people, or at least, again, Tainos, Spanish Harlem area, looked at Mexicans. It was like, if you're going to be drunk, we're going to take advantage of you. Because now you're giving us you're giving El Barrio a bad name. So, I don't know. Like, I appreciate the transition because it went from Ricans versus black to everybody versus Mexicans and anything else. Because back in that day was minimal gentrification. Like, if you were white in Spanish Harlem at the time, people saw you. Like, it was different.
Bro, white people wouldn't go past 96th Street unless they were going to the courthouse at 161 or the Yankee game.
They stood out in Spanish Harlem.
Or Fordham University.
But the blessing and the curse is because obviously the blessing side was a hodgepodge or this mix of cultures where
that's facts.
You got to experience a good bit of New York just by staying in the hood. Like, you didn't see the rich New York or anything like that, but you got the diversity part. You got culture. You understood the Puerto Rican Day parade, or this parade, the Caribbean, just everything that was available you could get in a Spanish Harlem type area, and I think that's where the blessing side was.
Bro, this is when 125th used to be popping on Saturday and Sunday. Bro, they used to make noise on because I grew up on 126 in Lex, 1775 houses, also known as AK houses, but most people don't know AK is like the building in the back towards like 128. So there's no 127th Street. There's like we had a courtyard or whatever. So yeah, like 125th Street and Lex on a Saturday, Sunday, bro, music bumping, oldies playing, music from the 80s, 90s. It used to be a time back in the days, bro.
Dude, that was the days of bootlegs. Like, yo, that's what I remember from 25th is you could walk from the east side to the west side of 25th and you had every vendor out there with stuff in a blanket. And you got your mixtapes, you got your bootleg movies, you got like just off-brand clothing, some African dashiki type stuff. They again, the culture was there. The funniest thing to me though in that era was watching all the illegal vendors, because you knew they were illegal vendors, because the minute they saw cops, they wrapped up their blanket and all the stuff, and either started running or put the stuff in the van and try to book it.
We didn't have to go to 42nd Street, Times Square. That was the funny part about it, though. But now we have all the stores, bro. Jim Jazz, everything.
Yo, VIM.
Bro, most people, you know what? I met people that call it Vim. Is it really Vim or VIM? Everyone I know call it VIM, bro.
Exactly, because you call it Vim if you don't know that those are actually initials.
Right. What does the VIM stand for, though?
Hell if I know.
We never know to this day.
Hey, listen, man.
Also, shout out to 116th Street, because if you was raised by Spanish people, I know, like, I was raised by Puerto Ricans. So, bro, you know how in the Bronx, people shop and go to Conway?
Right.
So, there was no Conway in Harlem. There was Numero Uno. And Numero Uno had everything, bro. Numero Uno was the spot. Mine got the jewelry, got our pictures taken, got my clothes from school.
All of it.
All of that joint. Yo, it was good times, bro. And then also, too, on those strips, that's where all the game stores were. So I used to go from store to store and get the games for cheaper, because I used to go to one.
Facts, me. Nah, go ahead.
Nah, bro, I used to go to one store. All right, let's say, like, at the time, Major League Baseball, right? So I used to go get the MVP baseball and shit for, like, let's say it was like $45. So I used to run in one store and be like, oh, you got it for $45? Bet, hold on. Run to the other store. Yo, dude say he gonna sell it there for 40. Can I get this thing for 40 right now? I'll give you 40 right now. He'll be like, nah. I'm going to the other store. You sure? Go to the other store. Yo, other dude say I'm gonna get it for $35.
Bro,
So
you were the king of bartering. I'll tell you that. I'll put that out there for sure.
Yeah, had to.
But Spanish Harlem allowed for a lot of that. That's exactly what it was. It was more the stores that you can go in and actually talk through prices. It wasn't the retail price was a suggestion. But that same thing, man, the GameStops,
because there was no Dwayne Reeds, right? And I'm using that as an example because you know how you go into CVS, Dwayne Reed, the price is the price is the price. You know, you just gonna scan it, pay it, and be out your way. You can't negotiate. Right. But at a young age, I don't know, bro. Ever since there was an Army and Navy store on 124th, across the street where Levels is, the barber shop on 120th. Yep. Yeah, so across the street, like on 125th to 124th, there was an Army and Navy store. So the dude that's where I used to get my fitteds.
Exactly.
Right? And that's how it started. That's how it started because I used to get my fitteds for like $15. Dead ass. Bro, he used to be like, yo, Chris, I got the new, bro, I had everything. I had all the fitteds, bro. I used to have the Atlanta Braves all white joint. I had the Pittsburgh Pirates joint, all the Yankees joints. I used to have like the Knicks joint when they first got the Knicks fitteds. Even like Knicks fitteds was even a thing back then. I used to have all that stuff. No, I'm dead serious. But I used to go in and just like negotiate the price down. I don't know how that came. I just always did it, bro. And I just figured, hey, it's a way of life. Huh?
You're a different person for sure. I
For
think
real?
everybody had that mentality at all.
Bro, because think about it. You leave you leave your house. I got no money, bro. So if I got $20, I want to go to the store. I want to get a quart of water. I want to get candy. You feel me? Yeah. So I'm thinking, how can I stretch this money, bro? Like I'm gonna get a fitted, quart of water, and some Skittles, bro. Bet. Oh, that's a good day. Yeah. That's a good week. Actually, that's a good month. Cause I'm keeping that hat. I'm wearing that hat at least next 2 months and stuff. So good times, man.
And that's what I would say is key to Spanish Harlem because it teaches you not only about style and how to create your own style or grow into it, but then you also learn how to be an entrepreneur. I think trying to make it in Spanish Harlem allows for everything else that we were able to do in life. Like that, to me, that was one of the big key things, aside from the fact that Tag was instrumental. Like, shoot, me and you and Tag having Talented and Gifted, or JH117, man, with BB and Met, like 5 schools inside the school. That's a whole nother thing about growing up in Spanish Harlem, where usually most schools had a few schools within it. It wasn't just like, oh yeah, there's the elementary and the high school. It's like, no. There's that high school, there's this high school, there's that, and it's all in one school. And so you got to meet so many different flavors of people.
That's true.
It allows you to not just come into your own, but then realize what you were looking for out of life. And I promise, a Tag allowed us to be better entrepreneurs. It was like taking these talents and gifts and saying, do something with it. Let me see what you can do with it. Which, man, I don't know how many places were giving people that opportunity in Spanish Harlem at the time. I
don't know, bro. Like, for me, that started even before Tag, bro. Because when you're adopted, bro, you growing up in a house where you got to figure out power dynamics, structure, also where you got to fit into the community. Like, black kid being raised in a Puerto Rican environment, but growing up in East Harlem, which is like by 125th Street. All your teachers is black. Your friends is black. The culture is black. You get what I'm saying? And then when you go home, I'm eating arroz con gandules. You know what I'm saying? Acapuria, penin, pasteles, drinking coquito in the holidays. Shout out to that. It's different.
Definitely.
You know what I mean? But then I'm going to chill at some of other people's houses and they eating collard greens. You know what I'm saying? They drinking that sweet tea BS. Like, yo, that's nasty.
Man, chitlins I grew up on chitlins. I ain't mad at none of the cultural food that I was able to take in.
You nasty, bro. And I had chitlins when I was in Virginia. And that's That's really
You
intestines,
just
bro.
you gotta eat it with your, like a pin on your nose. Like, don't smell the food when you eat it. It's shitless.
Even
And
your
put a
dog
lot
is
of hot
saying,
sauce.
even Hazel is saying, nah, that's cap, that's nasty. But bro, so like, yeah, man, so just growing up in that environment is like, nah, you have to like adjust. You have to become aware like your surroundings, and not just aware of your surroundings. You have to like think about things more intimately, you know? I think
Yeah.
once people, just anyone, especially if you're able to like tap into that resource at a like early age, I think that helps tremendously in navigating the world around you and stuff. Because remember, bro, we was on 126, bro, like this is what people don't understand about where we grew up. And I want to tell some of the real, because I don't want to sugarcoat it for people and stuff. Like 126th Street is Heron City. Don't get it twisted. Like zombies be out there. If you getting off at the 4, 5, and 6th Street on the east side, to this day, you see the tragic lifestyle that's over there. But so growing up as a kid, you know, and just being aware and around all of the negativity that's in that area. I'm talking about like you don't just got like you don't just got prostitution. You got trannies, right, on the east side. Like this is real
Now,
story.
as a child, you realize some of this
Oh,
stuff. It's
some
crazy.
mad stuff. So I'm just saying stuff like that so you can understand of like the different type of like things or evils that's out there that's just on a different level, right? Because you have to process that and stuff, right? It's like, oh snap, you think it's not just about being like heterosexual. It's like homosexuality is out there throwing front and center at its grimiest. I'm just saying these are.
We grew up also
You
in
know?
a time where no homo started.
That's true too. That is true too.
The pause, like
That's true, too.
homosexual was seen in a different.
And mind
light
you,
at
we're
that
not
time.
saying that we don't say these terms and stuff like that. You know, we're
I
grown.
say the terms no homo, ayo all the time, but it means no disrespect. Like that's the whole thing, and people gotta understand. You could call
I don't
something-
say those things.
You could call something what it is without being disrespectful to it. If you say no homo, I mean, I'm sure like even today, NBA players are getting fined for saying things like no homo in interviews, but there's nothing wrong with saying that. It's just saying, yo, just so you don't mistake what I was saying, like I didn't mean it in that way. There's nothing wrong with homosexuals or anybody else and whatever your interests are. It's just, again, a way that we grew up and a way that I think Harlem had to try to define us, had to force men to be men, to look at no homo in a different way, to look at homosexuality in a different way, to look at trannies and understand like there's vices that people partake in, but will you learn from it and do something different, or are you gonna fall into that same type of lifestyle where that's one of the blessings of Spanish Harlem. It raises you in a different way.
Nah, but it does. But then remember, it's the evil side of the introduction to those different things and that awareness, which I'm saying is like kind of crazy. Because man, we're young, bro. Like I don't know about you, bro. I'm 8, 9 years old, like 10. You know what I'm saying? Like this is the things people don't understand. I remember Park Avenue, and Park Avenue had empty lots and crackheads doing crack. Like this is what I'm talking about. Like, and you have to escape that. And I'm a young kid seeing this, and then you're like, which is interesting too, because when you think about street code and growing up as a kid and being able to just transverse through these different like areas, and I'm talking about I was everywhere, bro. I'm in Lincoln Projects, I'm in Taft, I'm in Wagner, Jefferson, Foster, all that stuff, Johnson. We everywhere in Harlem, like because that's just what it's like growing up when you from the environment. You know, when you're young, it's interesting because when you're young, I feel like you have more of a chance to like meet people and just, you know, go to different blocks and people leave you alone because you're a kid. But you know, that can get kind of shaky if, you know, you meet the wrong individuals at these spots. And I don't recommend you go to these areas if you're not from these areas.
Or at least back in the day. Now it might be a little different.
I don't know how they act. I don't even be over there unless I'm walking through it, transversing and stuff. Like, I don't be in my old building, bro. It's ratchet over there.
Which moving around is a whole nother thing that I think Spanish Harlem blesses a child with. The ability to, like, I talk to people now who grew up in the suburbs or somewhere other than New York City, and to think about a 8, 9, 10-year-old taking a bus train by themselves, they think we're crazy. And it's like it's New York. Like, you ain't about to wait for parents the whole time to to actually travel somewhere or go to different places that you want to go or need to go, whether it's for school or after school activities, whatever. Playing ball, Chelsea Piers. Like, there's a lot of ways to get around New York that New York teaches you from childhood versus growing up in a lot of other places, which, of course, there's pros to every place, there's cons to every place. But I think Spanish Harlem, honestly, I feel like it forced us to grow up faster than we should have. That's me personally. I feel like seeing transvestites, seeing just the debauchery, just the
yo, it's crazy because all that stuff used to happen by the bus depot right there on 128th, across the street from the park and stuff. Yeah, I'm calling it all out. It needs to be out there and stuff. It's ratchet.
Hazel.
It's ratchet out there and stuff. But bro, it's crazy. Like, just growing up, and then also too, just the psychology of it all, right? Like, just you thinking back, and this is the things that you have to like overcome. And also, too, you have to normalize and compartmentalize. So you could just go through your day and be like, one day I'm getting away from all this stuff. And then you have to go home and deal with whatever family dynamics you have there. And everyone's living situation was different, you know? And also, too, when you grow up in buildings like you and me, you might get cast in other people's plays. Because a building, when you live in the biggest building with like so many different tenants, you know how that can go. Bro. Yo, you know how that go. You can have many floor wars with dudes. You know what I'm saying? You in Taínos. So y'all could be beefing with another person for another tower, because most people don't know, it's 4 towers that make a Taíno and stuff. You know, I was fortunate. I just had 2 buildings, 1775 and AK. And like, you know what's interesting though? Growing up, I think as a boy growing up in Harlem and growing up in like AK houses and 1775 houses, you gotta prove yourself. Yeah, I feel like everyone got that story where someone's trying to check you just to test your manhood to see if you're about that life. And then once you prove to them that you ain't no pushover, everything runs smoothly. But again, I don't know what they do nowadays and stuff. And I'm not about that life. You know what I'm saying?
I feel like we grew up in a different time. Nowadays, I feel like everybody calling the cops. Like, you ain't checking anybody without the cops and then checking you, just because that's where the world is today. But either way, I definitely agree, man. We were blessed and cursed growing up in Spanish Harlem. Just the things we were able to see. And I also feel like that speaks specifically on the type of person that you either are or end up becoming, because you got a choice. If you're presented with a dilemma or whatever have you, it's like, all right, cool. Am I about to crumble, or am I about to see and overcome whatever it is that's going on? And again, the 128th craziness, the transvestites, the drug dealers, especially growing up in the time of actual gangs, like bloods everywhere. Like,
yo, remember that? Like, you had to watch your back during that era. That's when it was slashing people's faces for initiations. And one of my boys, Jorge, he got $150 on his face. It was crazy. yo, now thinking back, bro, I had to walk down Park. I would walk down Park Ave to go to school, because Park Ave, if you know about Park Ave, you can see both directions, and all you got to do is just deal with the crackheads and the bums. You know what I'm saying?
all you got to do.
That's it. And it's like, yeah, that's it. By the Metro North, you know what I'm doing? Just walk straight down. It's relatively quiet.
It's funny to hear you say all you got to do. Like, that's not normal childhood stuff.
Of course it's not normal childhood, but it's better than walking down Lex. It's hot over there. You got to pass by 1990, them weirdos over there. Bro, you got to pass, you know what I mean? Like, and then it's just too much action, too much going on. Like, people selling stuff. When you get a 116th Street, that is like the mecca of Spanish Harlem. You feel me? That block would be popping on the weekends too. Yes. You can't even walk down the block with someone trying to sell you stuff. You know what I'm saying? Right. Oh, and by the way, I wonder if the Cuchifrito is still there though. The one that's closer to like 3rd Avenue. on the southwest side of the street.
it was like
It used to be like
Sandy's.
I forgot the name. That shit used to be popping. I used to get my
I
Papa
think
de
it's
Rey
still
and all
there,
that.
but it's called something else.
Uh,
But there's a few different spots that opened up, a few other spots that closed down since we were around the area. There was, man, I can't remember that.
Get my
Dominican spot.
pastelitos there. Y'all heard? Y'all don't know about that? You know, a lot of these people transplant. They don't know. They have no idea.
I mean, now the transplants, you got everything everywhere though. So you might have understood what a pastelito was coming out of Connecticut, like just because today's age or generation, now diversity is, I think, a lot more widespread. I feel like, one, you can't grow up the same in Spanish Harlem like the way that we grew up.
That's true.
And then two, it's more widespread to grow up the way that we grew up if you have access to these different environments.
That's true.
Which now, again, it's all a choice. And I feel like people don't choose to be in some of these environments versus where we grew up, you almost didn't have a choice sometimes. It's like, you're gonna have to walk through Park. Like, you know, walk down Park versus walking down Lex. Like, you either choose this or you choose that, but you gotta choose something. And either way, you about to see something that's different and gonna help you grow in a very specific way.
Right.
Versus today, most people could tune out half of it, man. You can get everything on your phone nowadays. You actually don't need to be out in the streets to do anything. You can go shopping straight from your phone. You don't need to hit 116.
Oh yeah, bro.
125th.
Exactly. And then I had the type of mom that like, you have to go with her to the supermarket type shit. So you know, and my mom, she's the type of lady, you know, God rest in peace, you know, she passed away a few years ago. So she's the type of woman that everyone stopping her in the middle of the street to have a conversation. I take those for granted now. I wish sometimes I'd be missing that in life, you know, where you can be heading somewhere and then you can stop, have a conversation with someone for like a quick 5 to 10 minutes just to catch up and then go on your way and stuff. Now everybody will glue on their phones.
And this is where I feel like there was a lot more community when we grew up.
Oh yeah, we had block parties.
Just
my mom was the
block parties.
My mom was the parent-teacher association president in my school, the tenant association president in my building. So she would get the permits, close down the block, you know, and chill. We used to rock
I
out.
remember the Puerto Rican Day parade, all that, man.
She used to sell her coquito. She used to sell everything, a lot of stuff. She used to sell like pastelitos, plátano maduro with meat inside, lit, bro.
Which is all part of that community because you're bringing people in, you're sharing yourself and they're sharing themselves, and everybody winning somehow, man.
Bro, she used to go buy the food, right? Mama was a hustler. Go buy the food, come back with 8 racks. In like 2-3 days, dead ass. 8 racks. Like, Papi, count this for me. Okay, got my math skills up. Like, what? This is lit. I didn't even know you could make that much off of food. She's like, yeah, you want to come out here and help me yourself? Nah, bro. I'm not doing that. I can't stand, bro, when you're... So it's kind of, well, a lot of people don't know this, but it's proven by physics and stuff. So as you get older, we process faster. So when we were kids, you could not get me to be outside all day. That felt like an eternity. So I'm not staying next to you while you sell these pastelitos and this coquito. Chill.
You could be out all day. You just weren't going to be in one spot all day.
I'm not going to be there all day. Cause I grew up in those areas. Bro, come on, bro. You're going to get the ratchet. So you're going to get some people that's OD ratchet. The beauty of ratchet is interesting, though, because African-American ratchet is different than Puerto Rican ratchet. It's different than Dominican ratchet. It's different than Haitian ratchet. It's different than every other ratchet, but ratchet within itself is still ratchet, and everyone in their community can identify that ratchetness.
Exactly.
It's crazy, bro. And it's all cool. It's all cool and stuff. But yeah, the East Side's a terror growing up. But even though it's a terror, I will say this because it's not talked about a lot. There are geniuses everywhere in this planet, right? Especially in East Harlem. More in particular, wherever you're from. I don't care if you grow up in the wilderness somewhere with like only a few family members or whatever. There's geniuses there because even if you grow up in that environment, shit, you know how to live in the wilderness, you know? You know how to survive, you know how to take care of yourself, you know how to live at night with no phone and like how to transverse.
I was going around looking at a freaking printout of the directions because you don't have a phone with GPS at that time. Like, that's when we had MapQuest. That was back in the day where you actually had to learn streets and how to get places. Like, it was a very different time. And you also had to do for yourself, which I think was a big part of getting both of us raised the right way. Because I think, like, exactly like you said, as far as geniuses everywhere, man, y'all looking at two of them right here, man. Don't get it twisted. But how that genius comes out, there's a bit of the school, there's a bit of where you're from, and there's a bit of what you want or what you're trying to get to, that ambition side. A plain example of that is you building computers. Homie, you had a computer before I think I knew what a computer was.
Bro, computer, bro, I have to take it back. Bro, all right, so my mom had typewriters, right? So typewriters, word processor. I had computers.
Oh, word processors.
Bro, I had computers even before Windows, 95. You feel me? And I had every 95, NT, XP,
Right.
2000. I had all these operating systems. All of them is kind of trash, by the way. It's just, I wouldn't say that. For its time, it was kind of revolutionary and stuff.
It made sense at the time.
I'll tell you what was fire though. When in XP, when you get to share, you could connect internet systems and stuff. So I can connect two computers in two different rooms, and then connect, run wires. Where this is before Ethernet, so I could connect my broadband connection to my computer in another room, and then I could hook up a share folder and then just transfer files and stuff. Shit was lit back then, bro.
Again.
But I mean, that was back then. Now that's light work right now, you know? Like,
right. Now it's completely unnecessary with things like the cloud.
Yeah, but you gotta remember, curiosity and doing allows you to like learn, right? So when I had computers, it got to a point where I used to break them shits and my mom couldn't afford to get them fixed. So I had to go to the library. I had to open up the computer, look at the parts. There's no phones with like we have phones with cameras, but not at that time when I was breaking these computers.
Not like that, no.
Right? So I had to like memorize, etch the piece in my mind, right, of whatever it could be. Say it's a PCI Express chip or some shit, you know what I'm saying? Like, or a certain SATA cable, right? I had to look at that shit, go online. It was no Google, how to use Yahoo to find forum boards so that can, like, someone could explain what was going on to then find a cord that looked like the cord that I had, you know what I'm saying? Oh, my
goodness.
Bro, like, this is what people don't understand. But you know what? That shit was fun. I ain't gonna hold you.
All facts.
Yeah, man, because you didn't think about how much work it took to just go do this. And this is when you had to go to the library, and your library card was your best friend. Real talk. Or if you go to school and we had computers, but we grew up in a time where they used to roll the computers into school and they didn't have no internet connection. You remember that, boy?
Facts, B.
Bro.
Facts, man.
And Ola putting viruses on the computer.
Oh, my
foul.
goodness.
You foul for that. I used to get tired of him for that. You foul for that.
But you learn. You figure out different things. And I think even an Ola putting viruses on computers shows his entrepreneurial spirit. But with that, while you had your computers, is similar to everything I broke and try to fix.
This man break everything. He was fixing the red ring of death on the Xbox. You're wildin'. Not me, I'm too lazy for that.
But this is another thing of growing out of Spanish Harlem. Because for me at the time, it was understanding, all right, like, this game is just a disc. Like, if you were putting a game on a disc, why can't I again, we grew up around bootleg movies, mixtapes. It's like, yo, people are burning their own CDs. Why can't I do this for a game? And so, sure enough, start breaking out Xboxes, aside from fixing the red ring of death, but then also jailbreaking everything, not just phones, because iPhones didn't exist at the time, but Xboxes.
So that's pre-2007 you talking about?
Even connecting the Xboxes so that you could play. You got a team in this room, a team in
LAN
the
service,
room.
internet.
That was a different time.
Intranet, guys. Nah, I gotta educate. You know?
Versus today, bruh, people are spoiled with online gaming. It's if they knew what we had to do back
Nah,
in the
but
day.
rewind. I'm gonna give people the secret sauce. So like when we was growing up, right? All right. So what got me interested is like the fact that like I had like 2 VCRs in the crib. So I would take one VCR, hook it up to the other so I could record shows. So when I figure out the mechanics of that, I was like, oh, I could repeat this. I just need to figure out, I could figure out what goes into a system and what could come out. So an input leads to an output, right? So that was like the basic understanding. And then when I figured that out, I just applied it to everything now. Oh, so what goes into the system, there's something that go out. Oh, if the computer needs to do something, something has to plug in it. So then something else can get read out from it. So that's like how that started and stuff. And it was just basic like that. Because at a point I was taking VHS cassette players, like the footage, and transferring that into CD-ROMs and shit. Yes. It's like I have like the backup to the VHS and stuff. I was bored doing that shit though. I ain't gonna hold you. I don't even know. Now that I look back, there was no real purpose to that just because to say I did it. You feel me?
That's like knowing that we grew up in a time of 1 hour photos.
Bro, speaking of which, remember there was an era where I would not pay for no real video games? I used to just get them burnt online, download it, and just play the burnt games until they wrote code to stop that shit.
And even then, you gotta figure out a way around it. Like
always figure out.
A good bit of like my childhood was trying to figure out ways around it. Because again, we were trying to go to these game stores and talk them down on the price.
Yes.
So at some point it became, you know what? I don't even want to spend $20 on a 2K or nothing. Like now, if I could burn the game, I just could spend that $20 on the DVD or the dual layer DVDs that I need to be able to burn those games. And now I can make all these games. I ain't never got to go to that GameStop again, or until I get to that one game that either is blocked or is not so much copyrighted, but you could tell when there's a way you're about to get caught. And so those are the only times that I have to go to the game store. Outside of that,
most people don't know, there used to be like forum boards where you can go on where people will upload like the file and then you could just download that and then you could burn that and stuff like that. And then you could get it to read. But then they started cracking down. I remember the system started cracking down on that. It was like, nah, bros. We smarter than y'all. We got the smartest people in the world working on this.
We have a team of people, an entire division in this company trying to stop your little childish butt. Mm-hmm. But man, there was a lot of figuring out yourself. That's
honest scamming. We was honest scamming. Nah, but I would say this though. It's kind of borderline. What I like about, yes, it was like bad, but we didn't really do it. I would say this, at least for me, I'm gonna speak for myself. I didn't really do it just to pirate and stuff. I did it out of curiosity because it's like, pirate. You know?
That is just a pirate. That's what curiosity is. You just put in a different word for that definition.
That's true. But what I'm getting to say is like my main incentive and motive was to learn and stuff and just see if I could do something and to see if this is even possible.
Right.
You know, because I was more interested in understanding like the fundamentals of like written code at the time. So you can write code that can bypass systems to get the CD to play and run. That's interesting to me, right? And if you think about it, it's like it's twofold, right? It's the, damn, they never thought of this, that this would be an issue. So we never thought that people would override our systems to just pirate games and play bootleg games. They didn't think about that. So then now it's like they have to create software to combat that. So then now it's like, damn, you have your software, but there's someone writing some fire code that can get some backdoor access to still make this joint run. And I'm going to find that code because I'm someone that believes in this. I don't got to write the underlying code, but I'm going to do my best to find the thing find the code that works that's going to allow me to do what I got to do. And that's how like I train my mind at a young age. And that's why, and that's like, that helps skip steps sometimes, you know what I'm saying? And that helps in life. You get what I'm saying? When you know that not everything in life you have to start at zero. That's crazy.
Always build up on something else. There's people who have already done something. I think that's a big part of growing up in Spanish Harlem because we got to watch. Shit, at least in Taino Towers, we would always call people a generation above us old heads. Like, and if you saw them do it, you knew it's like standing on the shoulder of a giant. Like, all right, cool. I can see farther because they already did something that I'm gonna build upon. I ain't gotta start from scratch, like you said. This is almost everything that we had to do to even make it out of Spanish Harlem. Because I know some people that are still there, and all props to them. Some people just love it. It is what it is. But Spanish Harlem, at least the way that it raised me, was you got to go get something more. Go get something that means something to you that makes all of this that we went through worth it. That makes that childhood experience more than just an experience. It's something like, no, that was the starting block, and now I'm adding on to it. It was learning how to move around Spanish Harlem to then learning how to do things on your own, to build things on your own, to build computers, to break Xboxes and be able to burn games and just all that stuff. Again, I think it was tied to that entrepreneurial spirit that a Spanish Harlem forces you to have depending on who you are. Sometimes you shy away from entrepreneurial spirit. You realize, like, that's too much work. I would rather sit on the corner and sell. Like, there was options for who wanted to do what. And
right.
Even selling on the corner, if people start putting it together, I learned a good bit from drug dealers. It was, again, that entrepreneurial spirit. It was the understanding of supply and demand. It was the understanding of being your own business owner, of understanding what it takes to then either move up or move to the next level or get to that financial point that you want to get to, where, I don't know, there's a way to look down on drug dealers, but look at it today. Like, half them drugs are legal now. Like,
I don't know about all that. I'm not into that world. But I will say this, though. This is something that nobody really talks about, and I'll share a little secret and stuff. So, like, when you're able to, like, negotiate at a young age, like when I was going to the mom and pop shop, I learned this skill.
Drug dealing, you gotta negotiate. Sorry.
Wow. So I learned this skill, right? When I would go to the store, I realized that a mom and pop shop has to make money. They have bills to pay. And they're not gonna necessarily turn you down if you can offer, like, if you're asking for like a $5 discount or like a $10 discount, depending on. So how I always went to these establishments was, I'm walking in here and I'm gonna pay for this. I'm getting at least $5 off this price, right? So when I go and I did that, I will always go back to the store. Now I'm building a relationship with this person. So that way, when I come in, maybe days later, months later, they know my face. And then now I can ask for $20 off. Yo, Papi, I need that. Hook me up. You know I'm here. I spend my money with you every month. What's good? Boom. That happens, right? Then what happens is now I start bringing my people and now I start bringing my friends. Now they get more customers. I feel like that's lost in this day and age sometimes, where it's like everything is so like not willing to negotiate and work with someone that is fair in their like pricing, right? So like not everyone has a business where the price is the price, right? Sometimes people go into commerce and go into business where there's a little room called negotiation. I think the onus should be on the person who knows the price of the other person. If you want to talk them down, give a valid reason as to why you can only spend $5 left or $10 less, right? So that way that person can have more incentive to work with you. But if you go to a spot, I don't see this a lot. Many people go into like people businesses and then just want a crazy ass discount off rip. That's mad disrespectful.
Facts.
When people got overhead, people got different things they got to pay for, bills and responsibility. I just think being reasonable, like, works. And also, too, just coming in and just being honest sometimes, right? Like, someone will work with you if you honestly just say, listen, that's a little bit above my budget, but I got this. Can you work with me? Right. When you say that more often than not, right, you giving the person on the other side the opportunity to be like, you know what? I respect that. I respect you. You know what? All right, this time I got you. Don't worry and stuff. I learned that at a young age, bro. I learned that at a young age. Because I wasn't going in there trying to just get a deal every single time or a hookup. Right. I was looking for a situation where you could be my main spot and you're going to get all this money because every time I need a new fitted to go to school, you're going to get that. And that's what happened. I'm getting, like, literally the Army and Navy store on 124, between 124 and 125th on Lex. I was there every time my mom got me money and she gave me like a 20 years. I'm getting a fit. I told you I'm getting a fitted and I'm going to the store, get some snacks or whatever and stuff. That was like literally what we was doing and stuff back then.
I think that was, again, a different age now, but the thing that you're talking through is a little more about that relationship. Right. It's about communication, understanding of that relationship, that this isn't it. Like, this is the first time you're here, but our relationship's gonna grow. The money you give our business is gonna end up being more than what you just spent today. And it's that expectation of that growing relationship. That changed with the age of information. The age of information, now again, you ain't gotta go to that Army and Navy store to cop a hat because you can Google some and find a whole different place that probably offers it at a crazy price. Like, again, age of information, you're now tied into all these different outlets. But not only that, I feel like social media changed a lot of that.
Yeah.
Social media made it so relationships, personal relationships, in-person relationships changed. Now, the way I need you, like, you know, they would appreciate if Christian came in, brought a Irv in, brought, you know, his other friends to spend money in the same store. Today, that changed to post about the store so you can share that with the rest of your followers and then possibly have them come in, but they need some kind of tie to be able to get that interest to even come in. Social media is destroying a lot of what we grew up on, honestly, is how I feel.
It's the transition of life, bro.
That is.
You know? So as we moved more to like a AR structured world, and we introduced more technology into the sphere, it's just the consequence of such. And I don't know if we'll be able to go, I know how we can go back, but I don't want to wish on that world. You know what I'm saying? I'm not gloom, you know what I mean? Man. I don't want no bombings or anything or no destructions where we got to start from ground zero. But if it does happen, I'm going to say this. Do I really care? If I'm 80 and it happens, all right, that's y'all world after that. I'm good.
But this is where we are now.
No, I'm just joking.
We halfway there, first of all. And then second of all, like, that's the way the younger generation looks at us now. It's like, yo, y'all had y'all time. Like, you grew up the way you did and you did things the way you did, but we do things differently. And now everything's, you can even shop on TikTok. I don't need to go to that store where you met that mom and pop or that mom and pop shop where you met that whoever and now built that relationship. It's like, no. That was your generation. So do I want that back? I don't even know how to argue to say that I want it back because I know that's a slower, older world. It took a lot longer for things to happen back then, which I think also tied into the care and love that happened in relationships. It's what allowed for even like our friendship to last, whatever the hell, 2/3 of our lives. Like, that doesn't happen today.
Well, I don't want to push back on that, but I will say this. I think this is the adjustment period to that. I think since we're moving so fast and just so fresh and so new, as we continue to get older and more generations come underneath us, I think it's going to be like a kind of like a hard reset on that, where people are going to find that, because we're pushing extremes right now, right? And when you push extremes, people tend to find a way to get back more towards the center over time. But again, that's dependent on different factors, right? Because I don't know what the economy is going to look like, I don't know, 5 to 10 years from now. And then I don't know what values people are going to like have in the future, maybe like, again, 5 to 10 years from now. but we're moving pretty quickly on that front. But yeah, man, that's a lot for the first episode. Is there anything else you want to like talk about before we cap this off?
Nah, I think we covered a good bit of topics. I know there's a whole bunch left to cover, especially with everything we grew up on, but it's probably harder to speak on those things about our raising up in Spanish Harlem versus people being able to live it, which they can't do right now. Like, all they got, this is the transition. This is the new age. It's, now you can't experience that old school Spanish Harlem. You got to hear us talk about it just to even know what it was like, which this must have been what it was like talking to our parents and hearing their old stories. And it's like, oh man, things used to be like bro, we're the old ones.
Nah, what? My mom, bro, when they talk about being in Puerto Rico, bro, and you know what I'm saying? They have to walk everywhere. Bro, let me tell you something. When I used to go on vacation, my mom used to take us on vacation. They had a timeshare in Palm Coast in Florida, right? Wow. Bro, there were times when my dad didn't have the car, right, to drive down. So they talking about we gotta go supermarket shopping, right, for the whole family. Now this is like 4 or 5 of us down there, bro. Bro, we had to walk like an hour walk to the supermarket with like mad bags, taking that shit back, so we make sure we have a good vacation before my dad would get there. It's like,
listen, there was a lot of growing in there and learning in that too. Because I promise, I
would say this about that. I've always been good with like directions in terms of like visual cues. So even walking like, and I've never been in, like, this is when not really first time in Florida, but first time in that environment, have to walk and do all that stuff. Whereas like, as I'm walking, I'm making mental notes of certain things. So when we walk back, we could follow the same path because the path wasn't linear. You know what I'm saying?
It wasn't New York.
And it wasn't New York, right? And that's another thing. Oh yeah, and that's the thing about New York, people don't understand and stuff. So growing up, there were certain pathways we walked to be safe. Just to be clear, there's certain pathways you walk. Like we couldn't go. My mom didn't let us go to like 139th and Lenox. That's known as Murder Ave at that point. That was a no. And you know me being me, you know I was always in the West Side. I just wasn't going down that block. You feel me?
Right.
So you couldn't.
It's also like going around Polo Grounds or something at that time.
Exactly. Also too, I'll say this story for another time, but let's just say I will never cut through Lincoln Projects through I used to enter through through Park. Because my boy Rafi used to live in that first building right there on 135th. So I used to enter through there and shit. And I would never cut through, let's just say I would never cut through like the actual project on purpose and stuff. You had to be careful because when you headed more towards the west side, that's where it got more territorial, you feel me?
Definitely.
Yeah, like the whole west side, east side thing, central Harlem thing. It was real growing up back then and stuff. But again, as long as you know people and you good and they valid on their block or whatever, it was always chill. And I like to go to the west side because they had the baddies, bro. I ain't gonna hold you like all the baddies is on the west side.
Yeah. That's where you had to know the areas to go to for what you were looking for.
Right.
Because we had baddies in Spanish Harlem too. It just, again, depends on the type of baddie you're looking for.
Right.
Harlem, a little different. LES, a little different. Like this, man, I remember even...
LES, man, that's a whole nother area. That's downtown.
Right, I'm saying...
I ain't going down there.
Again, that's something I learned growing up, was being able to travel around New York, head down to areas like LES, head down to Chelsea Piers. Like these are young ages on bikes doing wheelies for miles just to, one, have fun while you get in there, but then two, knowing that once you got there, it was about to be a whole different scene from what you were used to. I think it was a good bit of not so much segregation, but diversity and culture based on where you were at. So the Spanish Harlem versus the Harlem versus the LES versus even like Midtown. Like Midtown was something we probably always skipped over, only headed to If I was going to the movies,
Bro, like we was going to the movies by Times Square and all that and stuff.
Oh, dude.
But yeah, we're going
Square.
we're gonna talk about that. We're gonna talk about that later. But I also want to talk about the Bronx too. Not today though, but we're gonna talk about the Bronx because people always talk about and say bad things about the Bronx. I love the Bronx.
That is wild.
Bronx got the what? Oh,
yeah.
Ya tu sabes. But they don't know. If you don't know, you don't know. And I don't want
Puerto
y'all
Rican
to know.
if you're going to the Bronx.
I was that. You know how I was when I was a kid. I was a problem back then. I had the baby Dior nameplate earrings. You know what I'm saying?
Goodness,
I remember. What? Those days, man, I was everywhere, bro.
Yeah,
I was everywhere.
time.
Baychester was my second home.
Oh, man.
I don't want to say shorty name, but she know.
Wow.
Nah. But it was good times. But anyway, that was cool for a first episode. You know, how you feel?
Man, like we talked about a lot. I feel like we let a lot of people into our world, but it's probably like a good just 3% of what we actually experience. Like there's so much more to how we grew up, to what we grew up around. But this first one, I think we did it, at least for this first one.
All right, cool. This is over. Good. First episode. We'll do more episodes like this. This is not going to be like an all the time thing. But who knows? Maybe we'll make it to all the time thing. But yeah, I wanted to make sure I start giving y'all a perspective that's different. Not everything gotta be like, oh my God, I'm shooting some high quality video and stuff. Sometimes I just want to talk about
It's real life.
exactly what it was like growing up and some of the obstacles we had to overcome. Because I think that's very important to share those stories so people know and we grow community. So it's your boy Baski over out, Gottie over here. Peace. Okay, cool. That's it. Bro, that's a long ass episode.
I thought I told you.
How much
It's
time we got?
Baski, bitch.